Okay, welcome to our Wednesday night shiur, everyone. Thank you for coming. Happy to see everyone over here. It gives me great joy and pleasure. New faces, old faces, Saturday faces, faces from far. Our shiur is mukdash. It's for the hatzlacha, for the success of Reuven ben Leah, for the hatzlacha b'zivug agun of Gabriel Chai ben Leah, for Eliyahu ben Alexander, for Yosef ben Rafael, also for the refuah shlema of Daniel ben Eliyahu, who's suffering from something that's very rare. May Hashem send him refuah shlema b'zchut the Torah that we're learning today.
Amen.
Tonight, our topic is CHANUKAH. CHANUKAH. The fire of CHANUKAH, how does it light, how is it connected to our neshama? In general, every Jewish holiday is how many days? In general, from the Torah. 7 Pesach, 7 days. Shavuot is 1 day. Sukkot is 7 days. The 8th day is a separate holiday. Simchat Torah, Shmini Atzeret, right? From the Torah. Rosh Hashanah is how many days? 1 day. Today we do 2 days. After the Chorban Beit HaMikdash. Yom Kippur is 1 day. Purim, 1 day. Out of left field comes this holiday that the Chachamim came up with it, as the Gemara says itself. The Gemara says that the Chachamim didn't establish Chanukah right away. They waited to see. It's the lashon of the Gemara. What did they wait to see? We'll talk about it, Bezrat Hashem. And then they established Chanukah. It wasn't something that was easily established. How many days did they establish it? 8 days. Why did they establish it for 8 days? Because, the Gemara says, they find this jar of oil after the Hashmonaim dynasty, the brothers, 4 out of 5. Elazar died in the middle. Maybe we'll mention him in the way. Rahmat Kuneh, Elazar.
The father.
The father died at first. One of the brothers died in the middle. In the war. They come and they find a jug of oil that only was supposed to last for how many days?
1 day.
1 day. But how many days did it last for? 8 days. So how many days was the miracle? 7. So why did they make 8 days? And not only that, 8 days, you're adding to the Torah. Kol mosif goreh, whoever asks the Torah, he's actually subtracting. You're not allowed to ask the Torah. You know what I mean? You can't add mitzvot. You can't make stuff extra, thank you. It's impossible. 8 days? And the funny thing is, if you would think that the Chachamim made the holiday for 8 days, it would at least have some connection, at least some common denominator to the other holidays in the Torah. Pesach, do we work on the first day of Pesach? No. Sukkot, we work? No. Shavuot, we work? No. Yom Kippur, you work? No. Rosh Hashanah, you work? No. You have to be, it's like Shabbat, right? And it's how many days? The biggest. 7. This is 8 days. We should at least not work for 1 day. We should at least have off. But no. The whole Chanukah is how much? Half an hour every night. That's it. It's the whole Chanukah. Every night for half an hour. Doesn't make sense. If you're already making a holiday for 8 days, which doesn't make sense in the first place, which it was supposed to last for how many days? 7 days. If you're telling me it was the miracle of the jug of oil, and then you're telling me that it's such a great holiday, and it is a great holiday, because it's the last holiday that we have in the calendar. What do I mean by that? After Chanukah, the Chachamim never ever instituted another holiday in Am Yisrael. If you open up a Masechet Ta'anit, Gemara, Tractate, Masechet Ta'anit, we find over there dozens of happy days in the Jewish calendar. Dozens. But none of them were ever made into a holiday, only Chanukah. And the funny thing is, Chanukah, the holiday of Chanukah, if you learn the history surrounding it, it doesn't even make sense to make it into a holiday. It doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it make sense? In the time of the second Beit HaMikdash, after 119, to be exact, great Jewish prophets and rabbis died, there was one left. With Mamash, he was almost like a Navi, almost like a prophet. After him, it was Mamash Gan, prophecy. His name was Shimon HaTzadik. He was a Kohen Gadol. The Greeks got a message, telegram, from the Kutim, the Kuthian nation. These Kuthians were living inside Eretz Israel already from the time of the first Galut, of the first Beit HaMikdash, after the destruction of the first. Why? Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, to quell any future uprisings, he used to switch nations around. He used to put Americans in Europe, Germans in France. He used to switch everybody around because a person doesn't feel comfortable in his homeland. So Nebuchadnezzar placed this nation called Kuthim in Eretz Israel after the Jews left to Babel. And what happened? The land, Eretz Israel is a very special land. The land itself started to send lions to kill them. The Kutim. So what did they do? They sent a message to Nebuchadnezzar. Listen, the land that you sent us to is killing us. We don't understand what's going on. Lions. Who ever heard of a lion in Eretz Israel? Where are they coming from? That was the whole point. To show that Hashem's hand is in all this. So Nebuchadnezzar sent a Kohen and he taught them Torah. He said, if you don't keep Torah, you won't be able to stay here. This land spits out people who don't keep Torah. And we see that today too. People who are Shomer Torah want to move to Israel. People Chilonim that are secular who live in Israel want to leave Eretz Israel. But what happened? This Kohen knew that they didn't want to convert for real. So what did he do? He didn't teach them everything. They themselves didn't want to keep everything. So they were like Chetzi Chetzi. Chetzi Yehudim, Chetzi Goyim. And what is Chetzi Chetzi in Hebrew? If you're Chetzi Chetzi, if you're half and half, what are you? You're nothing. You're not. In Judaism, there's no Chetzi Chetzi. You're either all in or you're all out. There's no Chetzi Chetzi in Judaism. These are the Kutim. Now these Kutim hated the Jews. Hated them. When they saw that the Jews were flourishing in Israel with the second Beit HaMikdash, they sent a letter to Alexander the Great, Alexander the Macedonian, telling him the Jews are starting a revolt, a rebellion. Right away, Alexander came with his whole army, and the only reason Alexander the Great was able to conquer the world, he was one of the 3 kings, the Gemara says, actually 4, to conquer most of the known world in his time, because his teacher Aristotle, the Rambam says about him, through philosophy, he was able to come to the realization there's a God in the world. Maimonides, the Rambam says, Aristotle was one level away from prophecy. A goy. That's what the Rambam says about him. Maybe he shouldn't have said that because it caused many people to learn his books and become atheists. But he said it. And that caused Alexander to believe in God too. To believe this one force that rules the world. Okay? So Alexander was able to conquer the world, and we also see this today, for example. Today, in the morning actually, history was made. For the first time in American history at 1 o'clock, Hatzot Hayom of the Goyim, not of the Jews, because Hatzot Hayom of the Jews is 11:45. Donald Trump came on the air for the first time in U.S. history, claimed that Jerusalem is the one and only capital of Eretz Israel, of the state of Israel. This is history. You might think it's nothing, but this is a huge step in the coming of Mashiach. Because many crazy things are going to happen because of what he did. And Alexander, why is he able to do this? You should know one thing. Lev melachim beyad Hashem. The hearts, the souls of kings are in the hands of God. The only reason he's able to do this, because he believes in Hashem. He believes in Hashem. That's why he has this kavod. Alexander the Great was the same thing. He had this kavod. But also Nebuchadnezzar, who conquered the whole world. How come he was zochet to conquer the whole world? Because when Sancheriv sent a letter to Chizkiyahu saying, God bless the king of Jerusalem, God bless the state of Jerusalem, and God bless the God of Jerusalem. May God be blessed. Nebuchadnezzar took 3 steps back. First you gotta write God. Then you write the king, then you write the land. Just for that reason alone, he was able to conquer the whole world, the Gemara says. It's unbelievable. For a goy, because for a goy is so mishukah b'tum'ah. A goy is so deeply infested in impurity. The Gemara says for a goy to reach the realization that there is a God in the world, one and only God, it's unbelievable. He could reach very high levels, and he has a very high reward for that. For a Jew to realize there is a God doesn't take a lot. Because our true source is from Kedusha. What do we say every morning? Elokai, my God, neshama shenatata bi tehora. The soul you gave me is
pure.
Tahor, it's pure. You can't destroy something that's pure. You can't blemish something that's pure. You're a Yehudi. You're pure from birth. You can't do anything about that. Then what do you go to Gehenom for? You have something surrounding your soul called CHANUKAH derabanan. This CHANUKAH derabanan is the intermediate between your soul and your body.
Shell.
It's like a shell, a spiritual clothing that you get from who? Your parents. Your parents give you that. That way, because of that, even if your parent is a Rasha, even if your parent is not Shomer Torah Mitzvot, doesn't keep Shabbat, you still have to respect him. Why? That CHANUKAH derabanan comes from who? Your Abba and your Ima. And also that's one of the reasons why women stop giving birth. Because that CHANUKAH derabanan that a woman gives her son, her children, she gets from her husband on the first night of their wedding. As much as her husband gives her that first night, that's how much she can give to her children. Once she's not able to give them, she stops giving birth. That's what the Ari HaKadosh explains in Shara Mitzvot Parshat Vayetze. You understand? So it's something big. But back to Shimon HaTzadik. Alexander the Great comes to destroy Yerushalayim. When he sees Shimon HaTzadik, he bows down to him. He says, I see this guy every time I go to war, and I know I'm going to win because of him. A goy. Just to tell you one thing the historians say about Alexander the Great. He wasn't that straight. No, I'm serious. The Greeks were not a nation that were straight. All the colorful flag, the rainbow, all those things. The reason why it's so deeply infested in American society, because America is the spiritual inheritor of what? Of Rome. And Rome is the spiritual inheritor of Greece. Okay? And Greece, they had just one rule over there, kaifud. Every day in Greece was a holiday. Just enjoy your life. Think about yourself. And they reached very big heights in there. You know, a lot of our math, Pythagorean theorem, all those things, you know where it comes from? From Greece. This is Chokhmah Chitzonit. I remember reading one day in a book called Megillat Starim of Rabbi Yehuda Ftaya. He had visions of tzaddikim that came to him in a dream. Visions. Him and Rabbi Shimon Agassi. They both had visions. They were good friends. They learned together all the time. They were big in Kabbalah. I speak about Rabbi Yehuda Ftaya a lot. But for some reason, every time I speak about it, people don't know who I'm talking about. So he had visions of big tzaddikim. Ramban came to him in a dream. Torah Chacham, many big rabbis. And once in the visions where I read this book, they asked him, what do you do all day? One of the rabbis, I think it was the Ramban. And he tells him, most of the day I learn Torah, and 1-2 hours of the day I learn math and this and that. The Ramban says, you learn Chokhmah Chitzonit that come from the Greeks, who are Avi Avot HaTum'ah? Do teshuvah for doing that. Wow! And we lechatchila, we don't just send our kids to learn something secular. Lechatchila, we want our kids to go to... Okay, you want your kid to go to college. How come you don't make it a priority for him to also be a Talmid Chacham? Isn't that also important? At least give him Or Torah. Give him something to go fight. Over 50% of modern Orthodox Jews that go to college, over 50% of them intermarry. Modern Orthodox. They didn't say conservative or reformer. Those guys are already gone. Who says they're even Jewish? Modern Orthodox, over 50% intermarry into Goyim. Today, lechatchila, kids call themselves modern Orthodox because they feel not cool to say I'm Orthodox. They feel like it's something. Yeah, it's a disease or something. I'm an Orthodox Jew. I'm observant. I'm modern Orthodox. Right? I'm modern. I'm cool. You know what I mean? I can fit in with the cool kids. That's why I said there's no chetzi in Judaism. There's no half and half. Like you have sugar, half and half. There's no such thing in Judaism. Either you're all in or you're all out. Alexander the Great comes to Shimon HaTzadik. He bows down to him. He tells Shimon HaTzadik, the Kutim, do with them whatever you want. You guys are free. Then he wanted to put a Avodah Zarah, a statue of himself, in the Beit HaMikdash. Shimon HaTzadik says, no, you can't do that. What? I'm the king of the world. You tell me what to do? He says, I'll give you a shara. Let's do something better. Every Kohen that's going to be born this year, we're going to call him Alexander. He told him. That's how Alexander became a Jewish name. Or else, how did Alexander become a Jewish name? Ma kesher between Alexander and the Torah. No kesher whatsoever. But Shimon HaTzadik, what was he doing by saying that this name is going to now become Jewish? He did it on purpose. He was preparing the stage for Chanukah. Because when the Greeks came to fight the Jews in Chanukah, Antiochus, he didn't want to kill the Jews. He just wanted to convert them. He didn't want to kill them. He wanted to convert them. You understand? He wanted to extinguish our neshama. What is Chanukah? We're lighting our neshama. That's what Chanukah is. Antiochus wanted to extinguish not the body. He wanted to extinguish the soul. That Elokai neshama shenatata bi Torah. He wanted to go deep inside. He wanted to rip it. He wanted to rip us from the Yesod, from our Brit. What are the three things the Greeks went against us? They said, you can't do these three things. Chodesh, Birkat al-Levana. Milah, and Shabbat. Chodesh, Milah, Shabbat. Those are the three fundamental things for the Jewish people. Some say it wasn't Shabbat. Shabbat is inside Chodesh, so it's Nida. Taharat HaMishpacha. People who don't keep Hilchot Nida, no matter how much a tzaddik you are, no matter how much you're chisti in your neshama, your kids cannot be tzaddikim. Unless Hashem wants to plant us in the neshama like Avraham Avinu, that should be born through Nida and that's for some crazy reason. Other than that, a person who doesn't keep Hilchot Nida correctly, there's no way his kids will be tzaddikim. And we see that today, Rabotai. Last week, a young boy, he died. I don't want to talk about why he died. I think we could all make addition over here. Basic addition. Second kid in 1 month. 1 month. There were some schools who brought their kids to the funeral just so they should see what happens. And that's just in 1 month. In last year, in our community, over 70 deaths like this that we know of. Drug overdose. And not everybody's waking up when it's too late. Let's make shiurim and let's talk about it. What is it gonna help you to talk about it once it's already infested, you know? You ever have one of those Terminators come to your house, those bug Terminators? Once you have one cockroach in the house, forget about it, you're done. Until you don't close every hole, spray the whole house, you're not going to get rid of them. One cockroach has one capsule that can make 50. Each one of those 50 makes another 50. Your house is infested. I don't see them, but your house is infested. That's what the Greeks wanted to do. They wanted to infest us with what? What do we call Yerushalayim in Hebrew? And it's interesting why, I'm just making this simple connection. What do we call Yerushalayim? Tzion. Tzion, right? Take the tzaddik off, what do we get? Yavan, Greece. What's tzaddik? Tzaddik. You take the tzaddik out, what do you get? The Greek. What if you go to any American college in the world, any American college, what do they call those fraternity houses? Greeks. Greeks, they call them Greeks. All of American society sucks from one source, Greek. Everything is Yavan. Yavan only has one problem with the Jews. Don't learn Torah. That's it. Do anything you want. Don't learn Torah. Torah is the poison of the Greeks. If you don't learn Torah, if you keep Shabbat, keep Torah, okay. But sometimes we see that a Ama'aretz, you know what Ama'aretz is? A bur ve'ama'aretz. Person doesn't keep Torah, he's a regular guy. He has kids that are what? Talmidei Chachamim, Kedoshim, Teorim. How does he get those? While a Talmid Chacham, what happens to his kids? They go off the derech. They go off the derech. Why? It's connected to Chanukah. It's connected to Chanukah. See, Chanukah is a rabbinical mitzvah. Chanukah is a fire. It's a fire that we have to light in our neshama. If you can't learn Torah, don't put the rabbis down. There was one man, his daughter was marrying a Goya. A Goya! He was a guy who was Shomer Shabbat. Shomer Shabbat. He tells his daughter, please, don't marry a Goy. They don't love you. Deep down, their shorish just wants to kill you. Esav sonel Yaakov. Esav hates Yaakov. That's it. That's the halacha. It's not a hashkafa. It's a halacha. Esav hates Yaakov. Don't marry him. He's crying. Please don't do this to yourself. Don't ruin our family. Don't ruin our yichus. He has no choice. He runs to the rabbi. He says, Rebbe, please help me. Convince my daughter not to marry the goy. Convince her. Do something. The rabbi says, okay, listen. Bring her to my house. He brings her to the house. He's speaking to her. The Averah, what happens to your neshama? What's the sin in the Torah? What does the Zohar say about it? Even to touch a Goya. Nida, Shivcha, Goya has 4 Averot. Wow. She looks at the rabbi after 20 minutes. He speaks to her. She says, you're finished? Toda Rabba. Shalom al Yisrael. And she leaves. The father walks inside and says, Rabbi, did you do anything? Did you help? He says, I didn't do anything. He says, I'll explain to you why. He says, when you come to Shul on Shabbat, and you hear my drasha, when you come home, they say, it's a skaska. The rabbi doesn't know what he's saying. He opened a book from 50, 100, 500 years ago. He's making up some skaska. En makshin ala agada. Do you say that? He says, well, sometimes, yeah. He says, once you make fun of the rabbanim, you already put the poison in your daughter's neshama. No matter if I'm going to speak from today till tomorrow, she's never going to listen to me. Because I'm skaska for her now. I'm nonsense. I'm making something up. You poisoned her mind. And I've seen this, with kids especially. Because Chanukah is chinuch yeladim. That's it. Chanukah, chet, chinuch yeladim. Same thing. Chanukah is all about chinuch yeladim. The Yevanim, the Greeks told the Jewish people, when you feed a child, there was no baby bottles back then. How would they feed the child? They would take a horn of a deer or a ayil of a thing. They used to pour it from inside. A baby used to drink from that. They used to write on the horn, "En lanu chelek be'elokei Israel." We have no part in the Jewish nation, and make them drink from that. What is it going to help you to write that for the baby? The worst thing you could do for your child is to make him brainwash himself. That was called brainwashing your own kids. They used to make them brainwash their own kids. Why? They're drinking that bottle. Subliminally, they see that letters. Ein lanu chelek be'elokei Israel. How much more so if you're standing in front of your child? We don't want our child to be angry, right? We don't want them to grow up to be angry people, to be abusive people, to people that curse, people who do drugs. We sit in front of our kids. We fight in front of them. We fight in front of them. First of all, you teach them what's anger. Once you did one time, the seed, you already put it inside of them. You teach them what it means to curse. One time, it's enough for you one time to curse in front of your kid. 3, 4 years old, he learns that word forever. Forever. Even by mistake. It's not just a sponge. It's a super sponge. A super sponge. You don't even realize how much you collect. You don't even realize how much he puts in his head. The kids. The Greeks were very smart people. They made the Pythagorean theorem for the love of God. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. They said, you right, I'm just right on the horn. En lanu chelek be'elokei Israel. It's enough. The kid is ruined. Why do we light the candles of the Chanukah on the outside of our house? Really, that's the way the halakha is supposed to be, right? You're supposed to light it on the outside. Why? Everybody's supposed to see that you light Chanukah candles. Put it by your window so the people across the building should see that you're lighting Chanukah candles, right? People have to see your candles. How does it feel when you go outside on Chanukah? You're walking outside and suddenly you see in Main Street all the lights popping up. So it feels good, right? Maybe you never paid attention. I always pay attention every year. It makes me feel good. How does it feel good? It's called Pirsumei Nisa. Do you have to go take your matzah and your maror and your charoset outside and eat it in front of people?
No.
No. Did you ever have to go to Purim and read the Megillah in public? No. As much people in the shul, the better. But you don't have to do that, right? You could read the Megillah to yourself even. Do you have to go in Sukkot and take your 4 minim in front of everybody and go and shake it?
Chabad think you do.
Okay, listen. We're not Chabad. I know today is the Rosh Hashanah of the Chabadnikim, but we're not Chabad. Okay? God bless. Rosh Hashanah, do we blow the shofar in front of everybody? No. Chanukah, we do it in front of everybody's face. Everyone has to see that I lit the candles. You know why? The miracle of Chanukah, if you don't study it, you don't realize it. You don't realize it. It's not a miracle. There was no miracle here. It's not even supposed to be an 8-day miracle. It's supposed to be a 7-day miracle. Okay, they had a war. People have wars all the time. Guerrilla warfare. You ever heard of guerrilla warfare? Go to Cuba. A couple of jobnikim, couple of regular people hiding in ya'arim, in forests, fighting armies, and they win. What happened before, it's going to happen after too. Guerrilla warfare. They won, they win. Okay, they also won. If you don't study what's Chanukah, you don't realize what's Chanukah. Torah says, my Chanukah. What's Chanukah? Take your Chanukah candles, put it outside in front of everyone. Everyone has to see. Not everyone has to see. You have to see. You have to realize what Chanukah is. That the Greeks wanted to come and extinguish not our bodies. That's something new. That's a chidush. Even Hitler, Yimach Shemo, didn't want to do that. But the Greeks wanted to do that. They wanted to come and rip us from our neshama. They want to take the fire out. You ever see a Jew without any cheshek, without any will to do mitzvot? Doesn't wake up in the morning for shacharit. Doesn't put on tefillin. He doesn't put a mezuzah. He doesn't wear tzitzit. Doesn't keep Shabbat. Doesn't do arbat aminim. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't care about mitzvot. Why? The inspiration is gone. I once read a story about that that made me cry. In one of the ghettos in Poland, over 25,000 Jews were in that ghetto. People used to sleep, 20 people in a 1-bedroom apartment. And they were living there for 2 years in that ghetto. I forget the name. I heard this from Rav Spiro, very, very famous lecturer in the ghetto. And they made rumor was going on. Tomorrow, they're going to bring trains to take us to working camps. That's what they used to call it, working camps. Not concentration camps, working camps. One father, Talmid Chacham, he was in his house. And he had 2 sons with him. The next morning, they know they're going to their death. Concentration camp. The boy is sleeping and the father is learning Gemara. They were not in the concentration camps yet. They were in the ghettos. They were allowed to learn and do whatever they wanted. They were just in very closed quarters. The Nazis did that to break the spirit of the Jews. The father was learning and suddenly he hears his young son, Yitzchak, crying. He's crying. Father walks inside the room. He sees his son. He He says, Yitzhak, what happened? Are you afraid to go tomorrow to the... the son is not stupid. He says, Abba, in 2 weeks is my bar mitzvah. I never put on tefillin in my life. You're going tomorrow to a concentration camp. What is he thinking about? That he never put tefillin on in his life. 12-year-old kid. He says, Abba, how can I go to the creator of the world without ever putting on tefillin in my life? Out of the 25,000 people who were in that ghetto, only about 50 survived. And one of them was that boy, and he lived to say his story. How do we have kids that are able to say such things? Maybe not in the same context. Could you imagine? You're about to go to a concentration camp and all you're thinking about is you never put tefillin in your life? That's the true nitzotz Yehudi. That's the true spark of a Jew. That's the true spark of a Jew. How come Chanukah candles, half an hour you have to light them? To teach you. It doesn't matter how big your neshama is. Doesn't matter how small your neshama is. You still have that flame inside of you. Hashem never leaves you alone. Never. He never did and he never will. Do you know what you are? Out of 8 billion people in the world, and out of 15 million Jews, how many are already keeping Torah and mitzvot? How many? You are one of the few! And we take our neshama sometimes, we take that fire and we put it in the water. Not the water of Torah, but the water of Tum'ah. The water of Tum'ah. We extinguish it ourselves. I was once sitting with a bunch of kids, and I don't blame these boys. Jewish boys. 14, 15 years old. The things they were speaking about, I think they knew more than me in a certain area. I don't want to say it, but Lashon Nikiya. How did we get to this point? And then what do we speak about? What are the major issues of our community? Not the fact that intermarriage in New York is in the Bukharian community is reaching 30%. That we don't talk about. It's in the Bukharian community. They didn't talk about the Ashkenazi community. In Colorado, the intermarriage, they say is above 80% of Jews with Goyim. We don't talk about this. What's our main focus? Kamach Yasham. Not that I'm saying it's not important, but Ribono Shel Olam. The Yevanim, they said, be a Jew at home. Hashem said, no, don't be a Jew at home. You know where you're going to be a Jew? Outside. Light the candles outside. Everyone has to see your candles. How many days? 8 days. What do they want to destroy? Brit Milah. It's our covenant with Avraham Avinu. How old was Sarah when Avraham had a Brit? 90. How much is 90 in Hebrew? Tzaddik. Put that tzaddik to Yavan. What do you get? Tzion. Take the tzaddik out. Why the woman? Why Sarah? Why don't I say Avraham? He was 99. I should say tzaddik tet. How did the miracle of Chanukah start? The 5 brothers of the Kohen Gadol, the Yavanim, Antiochus, one of the generals, took Yehudit. She was a very beautiful woman. He took her by force into his tent. She told her brothers, you're not ashamed of yourself? You're not ashamed of yourself? They're taking me in front of your eyes and you don't say a word? They said, listen, for peace. If we're not gonna let him take you, they're gonna kill the Jews. They're gonna make a war here. We can't. We'd rather make you suffer than make everyone suffer. Because you're going to make me into a zona. You're going to make me into a... He said, listen, this is what we decide the halacha is what you got to do. She took matters into her own hand. In the night when he fell asleep, she took a small knife that she hid inside her dress and she slit his throat. But not regular slit. She chopped off his whole head. And she put it on the knife and she walked out with it. In a chess game, when you kill the king, you win the game. That's how Hanukkah started. The men didn't do it, the women did. Why did the women do it? Why? The Torah says, the Gemara, just like in the beginning, when we left Egypt, who was the one who started the whole revolt against the Egyptians? Because of righteous women it happened. So too in the last miracle, the last holiday, who's going to be the one who started it? It was a woman. We're still in Hanukkah, guys. We never finished Hanukkah. Hanukkah, the holiday of Hanukkah never ended. Because even though the Greeks were defeated for that one time, one war, but they came back. And they came back big time. And they won. And they beat the Jews again. And then the Romans came. Then they destroyed the Beit HaMikdash. And now we're 1,949 years in exile. Guys, don't get excited because some American president said that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. And somebody sent a picture like Trump Tower and he puts an American flag on top of a golden mosque. Don't get excited, guys. It doesn't mean anything. Until Eliyahu Hanavi doesn't find a shul with 10 men that truly like each other and that truly are one family, he's not bringing Mashiach. 1,949 years, he couldn't find 10 men who really like each other. The Ariya Kadosh's students didn't even like each other. Call ourselves Yehudim. Yehudit did the miracle of Hanukkah, and we call ourselves Yehudim. The Nes of Hanukkah, to give you a small conclusion, is a holiday not for men. It's a holiday for women. To all the women who will listen, I'll tell you like this. Hanukkah is an antidote to today's problems. Women are not allowed to work during the Hanukkah candles. There's a lot of sigulot. When you light the Hanukkah candles, you have to pray for your kids. They should be Shomer Torah u'mitzvot. They should be Talmidei Chachamim. The Gemara says, and I quote, Masechet Shabbat, page 23b. Amar Rav Huna. Rav Huna says, Haragil baner, whoever is ragil, whoever is habitual, whoever makes sure that he always lights Nerot Hanukkah, Nerot Shabbat with olive oil, not with wax, or with regular other stuff, whatever people use. Havyan le banim talmidei chachamim. He'll have kids who are talmidei chachamim. Wow! I just have a pure sigula from the Gemara. No Baba. No Baba came along. Like one time I heard, I have to say this. One time some person came to me. There's a certain Baba in Brooklyn that many people swear by him. They swear by him. One guy once told me, I was teaching his kid bar mitzvah. Didn't last too long because there was some problem. And he tells me one day, I went to this guy. He was able to tell me my car plate number. He was able to tell me what's my car plate. This guy was telling me the future and this. Such a tzaddik. Yo, it's crazy. It's a tzaddik. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah. Udvar Hashem Yerushalayim. And he convinced him, look at this. He convinced him to buy a Sefer Torah for $40,000. I'm telling you, maybe we're in the wrong business over here. These are called Babas. You know Baba? They took Baba Sali and they're making now Baba everything. Baba David, Baba this, Baba that.
Baba Ganush.
Baba Ganush. That's I like that. That's a true Baba Ganush. I once heard a shiur. These Babot that could tell the future and take away Ayin Hara and they read the palm and they read the forehead and do all these things. They're worse in the eyes of Hashem than JC, than Yoshka. They're worse than JC. JC at least was a mamzer Talmid Chacham. At least he was a mamzer, but he was a Talmid Chacham. These Babot are not even Talmidei Chachamim. They can't read you a Rashi. Forget about Tosfot, a Rashi. They're worse than JC. We don't want our kids to be Babot, right? We want our kids to be real Talmidei Chachamim. Why not? It makes so much money, so easy. No. We want our kids to be real Talmidei Chachamim. And if you have 3 generations of Talmidei Chachamim, Torah machzeret al achsanya shelo. Torah comes back. 4th generation is also going to be Talmid Chacham. 5th generation, 6th generation. Hachut ha-mishulash lo b'mera yinatek, the Gemara says. Masechet Bava Metzia Peilah. So we see from here, if you want Talmid Chachamim, all you got to do is one thing, guys. Light Chanukah candles with olive oil. And when? Not at 9 o'clock at night. And Tzeta Kochavim. When the 3 stars come out. When is that? It's about 5:20, 5:30. That's when you're supposed to light Chanukah candles. If your boss doesn't let you leave work, say, I'm coming back. Go home, light, and come back. Mm-hmm. If you can't light yourself, tell a shaliach to light it. Send somebody to light it. But you gotta do the mitzvah correctly. Not at 12 o'clock at night. Even though once I heard the story of the Chafetz Chaim's Rebbe, he was once about to light Chanukah candles, and the Chafetz Chaim was a young boy. Chafetz Chaim, the Baal Mishnah Brura, he stood by his Rebbe for 4 hours. It was midnight already. He still didn't light the Chanukah candles. And the Chafetz Chaim said, Rebbe, why not light the Chanukah candles? After 4 hours, he lit it. When? When his wife came home. She went to do Bikur Cholim. She didn't come home till late. He says, what's the whole point of Chanukah candles? Shalom Bayit, for the woman. I'm going to light the Chanukah candles without her? I know if she won't hear the bracha, she's going to be upset. What did I gain by doing the mitzvah, making her upset? How many times do we do mitzvot on somebody else's account? Can we make people upset? And how many times we don't do mitzvot on somebody else's account? Like today, I was speaking to someone, questioning Nida. I said, you got to do A, B, C. He says, I can't. Why? My spouse doesn't let. He's embarrassed. Because your spouse is embarrassed, you're going to be over in Isur Nida? Isur Karet? Karet hi karet, the Torah says. Because of someone else? But if we sit with our spouse, if we sit with our family members, and we speak to them like normal human beings, we don't know how much we could change. See, everybody has an ego. What's the Chanukah candles? It's fire. Fire goes up. Everyone has an ego. However, even an ego could have a boundary. Even a Talmid Chacham is supposed to have an ego. We got to put it on lock. We got to speak to a person. We got to speak to him like he's one of us. Come on. I want to finish with one more story. Mo'av Rabotai. The Chanukah candles is a very big lesson to all of us. It's a way to help us defeat our Yetzer Hara. There's 8 Chanukah candles, and every night we say a bracha with 13 blessings. There are 13 principles of faith. There are 13 attributes of mercy. Those same 13 attributes of mercy, Kel, Rachum, V'chanun, Erech, Apayim, Rav Chesed, Ve'emet, Notzer Chesed, L'Alavinu, Sa'um, B'Shachva, V'Nakeh. And those 13 principles of faith that are open on Chodesh Elul and Rosh Hashanah, Hashem gives us an opening once a year. After Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, 8 days of Chanukah. He keeps them open for another 8 days. Rav Nachman in Breslov says, the last night of Chanukah is like a Yom Kippur. It's like Yom Kippur. It's the last stamp. It's the stamp on top of the stamp. Don't let those days go to waste, he says. And the Chanukah candles, if we stay and we sit and we pray by them, we could do a lot of miracles. Many tzaddikim were able to read people's lives just by looking at their Chanukah candles. But more than it is a message to the men, it's a message to the woman. Even though we pray by the Chanukah candles, we could pray till tomorrow, but if we're not going to try to do our best in chinuch yeladim, in raising our children, it's not going to help. And the most important thing in chinuch yeladim is tzniut, is modesty. There was once a boy in a yeshiva that they told the Chazon Ish, this boy's a Yerei Shamayim. Chazon Ish says he's not Yerei Shamayim, he doesn't have fear of heaven. He says, why? We see he has fear of heaven, he's a tzaddik. He says, no, you see, once he's in yeshiva, he doesn't have to worry about money. Once a person gets married and starts to see money, then if he's Yerei Shamayim, then we could say he's Yerei Shamayim. For women, it's the same thing. You see, women, girls, when they're in high school, they're in seminar, they're tzadkaniot. They wear long skirts, they were modest. Once they get married, they want to look for a guy who's a Talmid Chacham. But then they start to think, if he's a Talmid Chacham, I won't be able to go on vacation. If he's a Talmid Chacham, I won't be able to buy a nice dress for my cousin's wedding. If he's a Talmid Chacham, I can't get the newest makeup set. I won't be able to get a present for my anniversary. And slowly by slowly, the money aspect trumps the Torah aspect. And even if she picks a Talmid Chacham and she goes to work, and the job says, listen, you can't wear a head covering. You can't wear a head covering over here. For the job, she says, okay, I find a head tear. She takes off her head covering. No more shit. No more. She doesn't put it. She puts a wig. Okay, wig. Then slowly by slowly, she starts to see that whoever dresses more provocatively in front of the boss gets higher and higher. So slowly by slowly, the dress becomes a skirt. And the skirt becomes a mini skirt. And the shoes become heels. And the heels become boots with high heels. And the shirt becomes tighter and tighter. I'm doing it for kesef, for business. Betzela chokhmah, betzela kesef. Slowly by slowly. My Rabotai, the highest point in Jewish history is not going to be when Mashiach comes. It's going to be when the resurrection of the dead is going to happen. Imagine one day you open the door and who's meeting you over there? Your grandparents. Out of nowhere! You're gonna flip out. You're gonna think you're dreaming. And your grandparents come. And you come inside. Droid, Rahmat. He says, please have a cup of water, have a this, have that. And you start talking to them. I can't believe it's actually you. And you kiss them, you meet them, your kids, your wife. This is my grandkids, why? And suddenly you get a phone call from your friend. He says, Moishi, what are you doing at home? The Rambam is giving a shiur. What? The Rambam is giving a lesson? It's not my lesson over here. A couple of people have come. Rambam is going to be a hole they're going to have to do. Elite Palace is going to turn into a Beit Medrash. The Rambam is giving a shiur where? 2 blocks away from where Rashi is giving a shiur. Rashi is giving a shiur. The Ari is also giving a shiur. Moshe Rabbeinu. People are getting up from the dead, giving Torah classes. The Ari HaKadosh. What do you think they're going to get up from the Torah class and go get a cup of coffee? A mochaccino? What do you think they're going to do when they get up? Get the iPhone X with facial recognition? No, they don't care about this. They're going to get up from the dead, do Anklat Yadayim, say the bracha, Baruch Atah Shemechan, Mechayeh Metim. They're going to go learn Torah. What do you think they're going to do? And then suddenly, they're going to say, Rachel Imenu just got up in Bethlehem. And all the girls are going to go see Sarah Imenu. How do you think the girls are going to dress when they're going to go see Sarah? They're going to wear their heels and their thing and their wigs? I guarantee you that day, everybody becomes a Haredi. Suddenly everyone's going to start dressing like a Safta Yachim. How am I going to see Sarai Imenu dressing like this? There's going to be no rabbi saying, don't do this, don't do that anymore. They're going to see Sarah, the greatest Jewish woman that ever lived. They're going to take her hands, they're going to kiss it. Sarai Imenu, we couldn't wait to see you. Safta, our grandmother. Yeah, you're going to kiss her hand, but the question is, who's she going to kiss back? Not everybody's going to get a kiss back. Not everybody's going to get that zehut. The Chanukah candles is a reminder of that. See, Chanukah candles, it should have been 8 days mamash, like Sukkot. But Hashem says, I don't want you to miss the point here. 8 days, half an hour every day. Half an hour every day. Look into the candle. Find out what is that spark that ignites me. And once you figure that out, you guys will grow in Torah. Amen ve'amen.